I sold my Ride 115 and went and bought this Ride 135. This will be a restoration video. Enjoy. This is a 2009 Ride 135. I'm about to start strip. It's painted with the same color paint that the kayak actually is. I've started stripping paint right here, so you can see the subtle difference in the paint. This paint stripper, citrus strip, seems to be working pretty good. Put it on there and it starts to bubble up within a minute or two. So it needs a little work. I mean, the guy who had it before said the guy before him did some work on it, and then I guess when he spray painted his patches, you could see it was spray painted, so he just spray painted the whole boat. And from what I understand, he spray painted the bottom black and then used a mini grinder with a sanding disc to take it off. So I'm gonna have to hit the whole bottom with a heat gun to try and smooth all that mess out. But update on my progress with the Wilderness System Ride 135. I've removed all the paint from part of that over there and all of this here and all this gunnel on this side. You can see how much paint there is left. There's black and orange over here. I'm pretty sure it's painted in there too, but yeah, I'm getting it cleaned up. You see the mess on the ground. And I've found that the easiest way to get the paint off is just doing this. No pressure, just the flat part of the putty knife. That's actually taking it off almost as much as the paint stripper does. The paint stripper does pretty good. Just to give you an idea what I'm going through with this kayak, the previous owner this was painted black by the second to the previous owner, and the previous owner, from what I understand, ground off all the black paint with the mini grinder. Don't ever use a mini grinder on your kayak. So I'm going over it with a sander. This is really coarse sandpaper, but it's old and used. I would suggest nothing stronger than 80 grit, nothing lower than 80 grit. So I've sanded up to here, this whole thing, to smooth it out, just to knock off some of the big grinder marks. And then back here, up to this line right here, I've hit it with a heat gun. But the thing is, while you're hitting with a heat gun, what I do is, that's my last line. The next line I go down maybe an inch or two away from it. Let me go down here so you can see what's happening. So I skip this area as I heat it, and then I go back to it. That way I'm not overheating one spot. Because when you sand a kayak, it turns white like this. So keep a spray bottle and a wet rag handy. Anyway, this is how I rejuvenate the bottoms of kayaks. This one just needs a lot of work. I mean, I haven't really done much over here. I think I might have sanded this a little bit the other day, but I can feel it right here, and it's super rough. And then over here where I hit it with this sander, it's still a little rough, but not as bad as over here. I mean, over here it actually feels like sandpaper. And then back here where it's been heated, I mean, it's still a little rough, but it's a lot better than it was. I'm thinking I might get like a wax coating and just wax the whole bottom just to fill in all the little blemishes. So here goes a few more hours of work before even starting to rig it up. This is the Wilderness Systems Ride 135, just in case you forgot what I was working on. 13 feet, 13 and a half feet long. All right, this is about how far I've gotten. It's about to start raining on me. I don't know if you see the little spots or not, but do not sand your kayaks with a mini grinder. I mean, you don't really need to sand any of your kayak, aside from like this area, maybe. But the rest of the kayak, I mean, it should look smooth like this. You shouldn't be hitting it with the sander. I don't know if you saw this roller down here, but for the really bad spots, I'm heating them, and then I'm going over them with the roller. You could use a rubber roller or a plastic roller. Just don't let it get too hot. But like I said, from here back, it's been hit with a heat gun. From about here back, it's been hit with the sander over the old. No, actually, I haven't sanded any of this yet. I went over it lightly, but I'm gonna sand this before it starts raining on me. Like I said, I'm just gonna use a palm sander just to give it a smooth out the surface a little bit. I mean, it's still rough and hot. It's pretty hot. It's still rough, but at least it doesn't look as bad as it did before. Just, you know, this side over here, I haven't done anything to it, I don't think. I don't know, but you can see how terrible this looks from somebody hitting it with the mini grinder. I don't know why you would hit plastic with a mini grinder. It looks like it might have been a sanding disc. But yeah, there's a couple of dings on it, but I'll make this kayak presentable like I always do. One thing I keep forgetting to say while I'm recording, the past 4 recordings, is if you've got spray paint on your kayak, don't do this aggressive sanding it off. Get some of this stuff. It's called citrus strip gel. It's you can use it indoors, and it washes off with water. So whatever tools you use, brush. I have little brushes and scrapers and stuff that I use. Like my wire brush right there. That's it's a brass brush. No, actually I think it's a stainless steel brush, but it's a little fine brush, a wire brush, and it knocks everything off. They even have some that you can just spray on, leave them for a little bit, and then wash it off with a water hose. That's what most people working on plastic do. It was just a little expensive for me to mess with. That stuff is about 20 bucks a gallon, I think. And usually they're 50, 60 bucks a gallon. But that stuff works pretty good. I'm going to use it on the inside, and I'll record that for you too. Okay, this side is done. From the middle this way, this whole side is done. Now you can look what it looks like with the heat gun and without a heat gun. This is just sanding. Another thing I want to point out is when you sand it, don't wipe the dust off. While you're heating it, that dust will fill in the little tiny gaps. I left all the dust on there. So here's a before and after from one side to the other. I mean, it still looks ugly, but compared to what it was, this is a lot nicer. This is the last section of paint being removed. I've already removed paint from the entire boat. So this is the last section. It's coming right off. And don't ever spray paint your kayak. And if you're ever taking paint off of a kayak, just use paint stripper. Any paint stripper. Doesn't matter if it's industrial, doesn't matter if it's the cheap stuff. Taking paint off of this plastic. I mean, somebody's few minutes of stupidity spraying the whole kayak. I mean, I'm not saying it's, I don't know, maybe I am saying it, but I'm not saying you're stupid for spraying the kayak, but get the idea. Seems like a good idea at the moment. But then some poor sap like me winds up spending hours and hours and hours. I spent a lot of hours doing this. I scraped off all the paint on the bottom. I did all the sanding on, well, I didn't do all the paint on the bottom. There was still a lot of paint there. Imagine all this work I'm doing here. It just took somebody, what, 1 minute to spray paint this? Probably going to take me about an hour to get all the paint back off of it. I mean, they even painted the hatches and the seat, and all of this was orange. All of this in here was orange. Yeah. I don't like it, but this thing's going to look great when I get done with it. There it is, all cleaned up. Now I'm working on my rudder. The only problem with this, I think, is that it was powder coated. So, I mean, this stuff chips off in these big chunks. So, this might have to be taken off and sanded and buffed. But we'll see. So now I can start rigging it. Actually, I don't even know what it really needs rigging. The seat needs the straps, but I think what I'm going to do is the same thing I did on my tandem, like this right here. I'm going to do that to these. I'll probably just put a strap in here with a snap on it, and then run a strap around here, put a pad on the seat, but it's just going to be a loose pad that the straps go through. I don't know, we'll figure it out. This seat, I don't know, this looks pretty neat. The only thing I don't like is the standing water back here. Other than that, hey, I thought of a name for it. Sun-kissed. Alright, I got a little off-camera work done here. I added a bungee and redid the lines on the rudder system. There's your down. There's your up. As far as steering goes. Anyway, I also worked on the seat. I made it to where you could unclip it. Don't know why, but anyway, I've done this on a couple of other kayaks and it seems to work. So I had a bunch of these little clips and ran it through the back. I'm going to create a pad out of some of that, I don't know if you can see that back there. Some of that floor padding like that. I think I might have some red. So that'll work. I think what I'm going to do is put it in here and cut a little slot in it to where this comes up. I don't know. Maybe I'll make it, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I'm going to use that. Alright, I got the seat done. I didn't have any black or red. Well, the closest thing I had to red was this. And I wasn't going to put a pink seat on it because it would be, no guys would want to buy it. So, I used blue. Ah well. The rudder's done. I peeled all the paint off of the rudder and then repainted it. Yeah, it's pretty much done. I'm going to run some bungees across the back. And I added a paddle keeper. I did notice while I was working on it that the foot pegs are mismatched. I might have a set over there I could use in its place. But yeah, this thing is done. It's a little cleanup, patch a couple of holes. There was a screw right here. I took that one out. There's another one over there. I'll take that one out and patch these holes. I have some orange that matches this plastic. But yeah, looking good. The Wilderness Systems Ride 135. There's only one previous patch here. And like I said, I'm gonna patch it on the inside just for extra. But I filled that sucker with water and nothing came out, so looking good. Excuse my mess. Here's a 2009 Ride 135 by Wilderness Systems. I redid the whole rudder system here, added bungees to it. The whole thing was covered with red paint, so I've removed all the paint. I rejuvenated the whole bottom of the kayak. I think, no, I don't need it. I thought I needed, yeah, I need one handle up in the front. Other than that, the rudder system's good. It's got good handles. I mean, everything was, here you can still see where I missed some of the paint right here. But this whole thing was painted red. All this was red. I put in seat straps and a seat pad. The only red stuff that I had for this, or EVA foam, was kind of pinkish looking. I didn't like the way that looked on it, so I used blue. I made detachable straps for it. I made a stand-up assist rope. Adjusted all the rudder system. I don't know what this clamp is for, but it's good for setting your rods, I guess. GoPro mount, paddle keeper for tucking your paddle under here. I'm not gonna mess with the anchor trolley. It seems to work okay. I prefer having this on a bungee, and that way when you give it a little tension in the middle, the bungee will not move in either direction unless you pull it from one side here or pull it from the other side there. If you pull it from here, it won't budge. If you pull it from here, it won't budge. Anyway, I call it a, oh, I need to remove this. This is probably from however the seat was set before. But yeah, this thing was covered in paint. It had one patch over here. I'm not sure how or what cracked it, but there was a crack right here that went right over the edge there. But it's not leaking, so I'm gonna patch it on the inside and leave it alone. 2009 Wilderness Systems Ride 135, complete, ready to hit the water. Here's the final product. 2009 Wilderness Systems Ride 135. It's 13 and a half feet long. It's had this one repair, and that's about it. Repair didn't leak, so I didn't mess with it. And it's the whole bottom was rejuvenated. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and send me $1.